everybody. It's Allison, and well, I am at the Mike Koenigs show. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's the Allison Maslan show because I'm taking over Mike Koenigs' studio. So we have an incredible show, training planned for you. So I'm excited that you're spending the morning with us. So turn everything off so you can focus and be present. You're going to learn so much. This is going to be fabulous. So we're going to get right into the show, and I am going to introduce our expert for today. And many of you met Mike Koenigs at the Blast Off event. He is my dear friend, and he is the go-to expert on the topic we are chatting about today, which is online marketing, creating products. Mike is a 10-time best-selling author. He has done, million-dollar launch after million-dollar launch. One launch brought in over $9 million. So, I think he knows his stuff. So we're going to get right into the show, and we will be chatting along the way. So if you have questions, please participate, and hopefully we can get all your questions answered. So Mike.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me to take over your studio today.
It's my pleasure. It really is. It's great to have you.
And a beautiful new studio at that.
Thank you.
This is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, the newest. It's officially our 8th set in the studio complex here. So
yeah.
But this is, I thought, well, let's do something special. This is the first time anyone else has ever been in this side as the host. So,
oh, really?
I thought
first.
this would be kind of a fun way to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. And so when is your show on so that they can tune in?
Sure. Well, we release every episode every Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay.
And it's just at my website. So it's but we can talk more about that later and put it in the context of the big picture of what we're talking about today, which is product creation. So something I'm really excited about.
I know you are, and I'm excited to learn too. So why don't we back up a bit, because you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Why don't you give the Pinnacle members some history in your process of online marketing?
Sure. Well, I think it began, I started writing computer software when I was fairly young. I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't really good at anything. And I'm definitely, if I would have been diagnosed in the day, I would have been severe ADHD, OCD, and all kinds of other letters. The only letters I have behind my name are severe ADHD. There's no BA, PhD. I never went to school. I barely passed high school.
Great.
But when I learned how to program, by the time I was 18, I was writing code professionally, but I was always doing it for someone else, and I was doing one-off projects. So I was really working as a consultant. And I got my dream job. I met someone who ran a computer software company, a game development company, and I said, I want to work for you. And the guy said, well, if you want that really badly, write me a game. So I taught myself how to write Macintosh games, and in 90 days I turned around a little mini game that was enough to get me a job. And from there it opened up my eyes to the idea of publishing, because the one-to-many approach. But still, I was making, at the time, I'm not kidding you, they started me at $14,500 per year was the salary.
Yeah.
Okay, and I took a pay cut. I took a pay cut from $23,000 a year so I could have my dream job, and this is in Minnesota, right? And so this is before there was money in game development. But over a period of time, I really witnessed this idea of real leverage. And that's when I fell in love with the idea of write something once, distribute it many times. And if you fast forward to 1999, I sold my first business, which was a marketing agency. And again, we were producing games and content for other people that was being distributed.
Okay.
That's when I said, okay, I'm going to do it, because I heard about a guy online who made $1 million in a week selling 1,000 products. And that's when the lights turned on. The idea of 1,000 products times $1,000 was $1 million. And I said, someday I'm going to make $1 million all at once.
Right.
So if
when you think of it that way, you can wrap your brain around it. It's like, wow, that's really doable.
It is. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I love to tell people is, if you're in a state of overwhelm and thinking you can't do it, that's one of the big outcomes that we're going to have today is we're going to make this easier but it's easier to sell 100 products for $10,000, believe it or not, than it is to sell 10,000 products at $100 or 10,000 products at $10, because it's all about finding the right customers, right?
Right, and you know what we're talking about, Pins. We talked about that this past weekend. Every one of you needs to up your prices because your value's up there and you want to match your value with the price.
And it's all about knowing how to tell a story, which is, again, part of what we'll talk about, because you know, in order to sell a lot of products all at once, you really have to understand some basic ideas about how to launch a product and how to get people's attention. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. You know, I've got tools here. We're going to be able to diagram and whiteboard this. And also, if you're just joining us, I see you're on right now in chat. You know, Lisa and Danielle and Karen. So feel free to chat with us. We're able to take your questions in real time here. And I just want to encourage you, ask any questions along the way. We're here for you. So with that, why don't you just grill me, ask questions. I've got props, I've got some examples. And
all right, well, we've got many of the Pinnacle members that want to launch products. They're talking about it, they're ready, they're chomping at the bit. So they don't know where to start a lot of the time, right? And so I think let's just go to the very beginning. How do you get, you know, first of all, how do you come up with the idea of the product? You know, how do you know that your customers or your prospects are going to be interested in these products? Let's start there.
Well, I'm going to tell a little story, and it's about, I'm going to tell you the first product I ever made, and then the second product I ever made, because what I did is I partnered up with someone who already had a relationship and a reputation with an audience. And I actually made 2 products at the same time when I made my first 2 real information products, which was insane. It was stupid, frankly. But the first product I ever made, I actually have the original folder, the binder. It was called the Internet Infomercial Toolkit. And the background behind this was I had been a consultant working with a variety of different companies, and I was doing video marketing for them. And I had figured out how to rapidly get attention online and get traffic and leads. And what I did is I started studying traditional infomercials. And I copied the format and I started scripting videos on the internet that followed the basic psychology. And along the way, I met some of the biggest infomercial producers in the world, including a guy named Joe Sugarman, who sold blue blocker sunglasses. He sold $1 billion worth of sunglasses on TV.
Amazing.
He's one of the first guys who not only made big money, but he figured out how to buy time on TV. And this is back when Reagan approved the use of long format infomercials where you could actually buy a half-hour block.
Right.
Okay. So the bottom line is, from there, I ended up meeting 5 other experts who are infomercial producers. And I said, my name is Mike Koenigs. I am an online marketer, and I'd like to interview you and ask you some questions about how the psychology of infomercials work, because I'm adapting it to the internet. And in exchange for your support, I would be happy to advertise you in the back of my product and give you a copy of the program. And every one of these people said yes.
Brilliant.
In fact, Joe Sugarman he licensed me the use to use every single one of his most popular infomercials so I could give them away as part of the product.
Right.
Another guy named Tim Hawthorne, who produced all the Lifetime Warner infomercials. Oh, you remember when you ever saw when they sold music, like all the best of the 70s, best of the 90s? Okay?
Yes, I remember
that was
those.
Tim Hawthorne.
Okay,
And
I think I bought one of those albums.
Most people did. Statistically speaking, most people did. And anyway, he produced a video for me called The Anatomy of an Infomercial for no money. He gave it to me. He took his best knowledge and he gave it to me on a silver platter, because no one had ever asked him for his support or his help before in training and educating. And that turned out to be his true passion. So the bottom line is, I was able, through a series of about 5 or 6 interviews and my own research, to produce a product that over time produced over $500,000 in revenue. It certainly didn't produce $1 million. It didn't do it all at once. But what it enabled me to do is become the go-to guy for online video. I was probably the first well-known online video marketer in this is in 2001, 2002, 2003.
Right.
And it was before YouTube came out.
Yeah, that's
so
incredible. But let's back up just a second, because some of the things you said are really important.
Yeah.
Because we're always talking about new strategies in marketing and new, ways of reaching people. But when it comes down to it, it's the tried and true marketing strategies. You've just mirrored something that worked and then applied it to this medium, and that was so smart.
Yeah. Well, here's I'm going to bring this to, so in this case, I tapped other experts to elevate my value.
Yes.
But let's translate this down into, there's a great question that just came in from Diane Forster. Here's what her question is. She says, my book was video recorded and being edited. It's also being broken down into a coaching program priced at $997. I have no list or following yet. Where do I start? How should I promote? So I'm going to indirectly answer that question because I'll tell the story about the next product I produced, which is with our dear friend that we have in common, Ariel Ford. And again, this was a time when I had no list, no following, no one knew who I was, and it was even before this product was launched, the Internet Infomercial Toolkit. And I was just learning, but the background on Ariel is she was well known as being the go-to person. If you wanted to get on Oprah, you went to Ariel. She was known for being the publicist, the book publicist for Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Neil Donald Walsh, Louise Hay from Hay House, her sister Debbie Ford, who is a machine, Don Miguel Ruiz. I mean, the biggest in personal growth, personal development, and what was known at the time as the New Age spiritual, whatever, that group.
Right.
And Ariel was also an author herself. And I got to know her when I moved to San Diego, and she rapidly became our best friends in town. And my son, that's my son's godmother, if you didn't know that, Ariel and Brian. So one day she was talking to me, and I was asking her questions about book publishing and getting attention. And she told me she's going to quit the business. She says, I'm tired of telling authors they don't have what it's going to take, because they all think they can get on Oprah. And I have to be the one to tell them, you don't have what it takes, and you don't have a platform, you don't have a following, you don't have a list.
Right.
And I go,
and I can totally see her saying that too.
Right.
And
she said, I don't have the heart to tell them they'll never make it because they don't have the fire. That was, and I'm like, oh, that's heavy.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what are you going to do? And she goes, I'm just going to change gears completely. I'm going to write my own books and do my own thing. And I said, well, let me ask you a couple questions. I said, first of all, when you consult with people, how much do you charge? She said, about, at the time, it was like $1,500 a day or $2,000 a day. I said, okay. And when you meet with someone, how much of what they ask you is the same, and how much of what you tell them is about the same, even and from the time you start working with them until they're getting results? And she says, 80 to 90%, it's all the same, it's cookie cutter. I said, well, if I sat down with you and interviewed you and had you ask me everything, tell me everything you know about publishing, publicity, promotion, and building a platform, how long would it take you to just do a complete brain drain? She said, probably 8 or 10 hours. And I said, here's my idea for you. And I said, here's the other thing. Out of all the people who've ever reached out to you, who you said no to, I won't work with, do you have a list of those? And she says, yeah, there's hundreds of those. And I said, out of all the publicists, everyone in the industry who knows you, who knows what you do, how many of them would be willing to maybe tell their audience about a product that you would make? And she said, probably all of them. There's probably 10,000. And then my sister, Debbie, has a list of about 25 or 30,000. I said, here's my idea. You come over to my studio, which was my garage, okay? It wasn't anything fancy like this.
Right.
I will interview you. I will make a product with you. I will package it. I will sell it, and I'll give you half the money. And she said, done.
Done. Perfect.
So a week later, and I said, gather every press release you've ever done that's gotten results. Every result, everything you've ever produced, put it in a big pile. That's going to be the core of the product. So you've got like example press releases. So it's really a success library. And make a list of everyone who you think would promote this thing. And within a week, she was in my studio, and I was interviewing her just like we are now, except it was all audio.
Okay.
And we made about 8 segments. We broke it down into what you need to know. So it was like an introduction. 50
I remember
minutes.
that product.
In that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and the way we launched it is Ariel went out to everyone in her audience and her list who had, whether they had 500 names in their list or 50,000, and said, will you promote the product? We'll give you half the money as an affiliate. Well, we mailed out, and the way we sold it is with teleseminars and a sales letter. That's all it was, because back then we were experimenting with video, and eventually we made a sales video, a little infomercial. We used what I learned. But that product earned about maybe like $80,000 in the first month. It was enough, so when we subtracted the hard expenses, I was able to give Ariel a check for probably $30,000 or so.
Right, right.
And that was more money than she had been getting consulting in quite a while. Yeah. And she said, my new best friend, what are we going to do next? Okay. So again, I kind of became a publisher, producer, but it gave me the knowledge to leverage what else I did. So the answer to the question, and this is what Diane just said here, she says, that's my target market. So the bottom line is this. All of us have people in our Rolodex who have lists and names. And the first place to go is, for your target audience, does someone own relationships with them right now? And just as you and I promote other people all the time, you know, you start building an audience, you build a list. Look, it starts out where we all have a list of 0.
Right.
And the only way to get there is, for example, maybe you write a book and you present, you start speaking, you start speaking for free, and you start talking, and or you start reaching out to people online, and it starts with 1 person and then 10 and 100, and you got to be willing to put on the training wheels first.
Yes.
You know, no one's going to give you permission to access 1 million people overnight. It doesn't happen.
No, and if people are telling you that, they're lying.
Yes.
So, and this goes back to what we were talking about at Pinnacle. We went all through the process of booking talks, selling on stage, building that community, and this is what I've been doing for years and years and years. And when you get people in your database that you have connected with in person, those are going to be much deeper relationships, and they're going to be more willing to buy.
Right.
But you can also go the other round of creating an opt-in and you know, doing cold traffic through Facebook ads and so forth as well.
Yeah. Or in the case of, I mean, there's a multitude of different ways. One of them, which is a mini version, is you know, the way I built our list with Ariel is I would reach out to experts who had audiences and ask if we could interview them on, you know, and they became part of the product. So a minimum of every month, Ariel and I did a teleseminar. We'd invite all the owners of the product to show up, and we targeted people who had audiences. And then what we do is say, hey, that was a great interview. If it's okay with you, we're going to put you in the product, which is going to give you plenty of exposure. And would you be willing to promote the product, and we'll give you half the money? So what you do is you identify the people who would be great promoters of a product or a program and interview them and make them part of the product. And once you start building some momentum, you just ask them if they'd promote. So it's really a great win-win.
Right, absolutely.
And you know, the honest truth is, part of the reason I started doing a video podcast is to access high-value people and bring them on the show and say, by the way, I'm going to promote you, I'm going to plug you and your product and give away something that you have. And if you're interested, I've got great products that you can promote. Here's the, you know, first of all, you've seen the studio, you know I'm real, you know the product's real. But you don't have to, you know, it's not like you have to start there. It can be as simple as a hangout, just, you know, using the basic technology we're using today, you know, doing a basic webcast. But all this can be repurposed.
And this also opens so many doors by building these relationships. You and I both know that that's really what drives up the success of a business.
Relationship. True that.
Yeah, yeah.
What else you got?
Okay, well, this is fun. All right, so we've talked about target market. Well, let's go into that just a little bit more. When you are just deciding the right product to make,
Yes.
that you know that your prospects or your clients are going to be interested in.
Yeah. So how are you going to make a product people will actually buy?
Right.
That's the question.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to give you a couple scenarios. These
Okay.
are, so when I began, again, I will tell you that when I created this product, the Internet Infomercial Toolkit, I made a product that I was interested in, and I had a feeling that online video marketing was going to be the next big thing. It just made sense to me. But if I put that in the context of anyone who's watching right now, if you are making a living doing something and providing a service, then there's a market for whatever it is, okay?
Right.
People are willing to pay you money. And obviously that market needs to be sizable enough to justify creating some sort of an information product. But there are always going to be some people who aren't able or willing to engage you at the prices you charge, okay? And this is, to put it in very simple terms, a product is a great way to double your prices for your products and or for your services.
Yes.
Okay? So
It's like that stepping stone.
exactly. And I believe that I don't care what kind of business you're in, you can't afford not to have a book and not to have a product, in my opinion, because a book will help elevate your value, your expert status, your authority status. A product will help you multiply your prices, because someone comes to you and you'll explain, okay, here's what I do, here's what I'll do it for, and here's how much it costs. And they'll say, well, I can't afford that. And you say, well, in that case, here's a book, here's my product, you can do it yourself. And when you're ready and you've used the knowledge in here to start making progress, then you can come to me and you'll have your kickstart you need.
Right.
Or find a way to find the money, right?
Right. Or a lot of times they'll buy the product, they're in the middle of it, and they're like, wait a minute, there's no way I'm going to do this myself.
I want to work with you.
Yeah,
totally.
exactly.
Yeah. So here's what I would say is, in my experience, you have to know that there's an audience. And the easiest way to determine if there's an audience for a product is to do a search on LinkedIn and Facebook and see how many people are in groups. So for example, and I'll actually turn to my laptop here, and I'm going to bring up Facebook if my team can bring up my computer. Okay, there it is. And let's say, for example, you're focusing on coaching. Okay, so if I type in coaches, for example, here we can see 97,251 people are talking about this. But here you can see coaches, authors, entrepreneurs. There's a group of 9,713 members. Coaches community, 4,622. Okay, so there's a bunch of coaches communities, and you just, first of all, search on whatever the topic is and see if there's people in there. The same is true in LinkedIn. So if I were going to go to LinkedIn, for example, and I'll bring up my home page in LinkedIn. All right. And LinkedIn is a fantastic place to go. So if I type in coaches in here, all right, groups about coaches, okay, people with coaches skills, job rewiring coaches skills. Well, you got people with coaches skills, but let's just take in groups. All right, what do we got here? Coaches, life, business, relationship, 5,219 members. 50,000 fitness trainers, 28,000 links for shrinks, therapists, psychologists, and coaches. Okay, I rest my case.
Absolutely.
There's a market there.
Yes, there is.
So, if you want access, one of the ways is you join the groups, you get to know who the leaders are, you participate without asking. Don't be a schnorrer,
Yes,
as the
exactly.
our Jewish friends would say.
Yes.
And start finding out what the conversation's about and asking questions. And what I would do is, if I've written a book, I'd communicate with the leaders and say, hey, I'm the best-selling author of XYZ 123, or I'm an expert in, and I'd love to find out if it's possible to arrange doing a teleseminar, a webinar, a webcast with your audience. Would that be okay? Or could I give away my book?
Right.
Or some sort of a good thing. You just start building rapport.
Yes.
That's a good way to just start building. And in my experience, and I've been doing a lot of this now with LinkedIn, it's pretty easy to get 30 to a couple hundred viewers per day to a LinkedIn page.
Right.
Okay. And if you have a good opt-in giveaway, you can generate some leads. So I went way into the weeds there just to prove a point, but
That's fantastic.
That's the work, okay?
Right.
And eventually, once you've kind of figured out that there's a little bit of a system, you can hire someone to do that for you and
Right.
start hustling. But I can give you the process I've used over 20 times now to produce multi-million-dollar launches and how I've done it over and over again.
Please.
It's the formula.
Okay, let's hear the formula.
So here's, the first thing is somehow you get started using the process I talked about. And again, either you co-produce with another expert, you borrow expert status, or you build it, and you got to get out and hustle.
Right.
There's no shortcut. Everyone who's ever made it hustled.
Yes.
And if you ain't got the chops to hustle, you ain't going to make it. You might as well go get a job.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
But most people who are entrepreneurs are getting and closing deals,
Right.
and they're making money. So
And
what?
our pins, they hustle.
Totally, you're hustlers. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be here if you weren't a hustler. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to join this program if you weren't a hustler. And there is I'm looking at some of the questions that are coming in, but there, one of them, for example, is Paradigm Shift. She says, what kind of product do you recommend for SEO services? So I'm going to use that as a springboard, and I'm going to compare it to how I got started.
Cool.
Okay.
Great.
So what happened with me is when I produced the Internet Infomercial Toolkit, I started making a lot more videos to sell products. And pretty soon I had people coming to me say, hey, would you make an internet infomercial for me? And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be an agency again. I just sold an agency and it almost killed me.
Right.
But what I did figure out is how to help them make really simple infomercials. As simple as like turn on a camera and tell a story. And the way I sold this product, at the time it was a physical product, it was a box you got filled with DVDs and CDs and a big manual. So my infomercial to sell the product was to get the box, and I had it delivered brand new and fresh from my supplier, and I said, today I'm going to show you the Internet Infomercial Toolkit. If you've ever dreamed of sharing your message, growing your audience, being able to sell products without you having to be there, and be able to take any product or any service and be able to sell it over and over again for free, you've come to the right place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my program, and I'm going to open up the box and show you exactly what it's like when you order it and what you're going to get inside and how it's going to help you grow your business, sell more products, even if you're afraid of being on camera, even if you hate the way you look, even if you think you're too old, too fat, too blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Okay? So I knew what the objections were, because everyone says,
you still
like,
got it in you there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love selling stuff with video, okay? and so what I did is I tore open the box and I opened it up and I said, the first thing you're gonna get is this guide. And inside it, and again, this has just got the little pages in here, is I have a welcome letter. And this will tell you exactly and then in volume 1, you're gonna learn this. In volume 2, you're gonna learn this, so that you can. Results, results, results. It is.
Yes.
So you're going to meet Tim Hawthorne, a guy who sold over $100 million worth of products on TV. And he has a video. All you have to do is put it in your DVD player, press the button, and watch it. And he's going to dump 30 years of wisdom, knowledge, and expertise that's made hundreds of millions of dollars right into your head. You don't even have to think, okay?
I'm sold.
Right, it works.
I'm sold.
And it was freaking awesome, okay? Then the next thing is you're going to meet Joe Sugarman. Joe's the guy who sold $1 billion worth of sunglasses. Do you think he can help you too? Okay, if he can sell sunglasses on TV, you can use and I'm giving you all the scripts, and you get 10 of his best-selling infomercials, the best ones. He's hand-curated them as a personal favor to me that I'm sharing with you. Boom, okay.
Right.
Then I had software. It was like fill in the blanks, press a button, and it would write a script for you.
Wow.
And it's like, you don't even need to think.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking, shoot, I should re-release this thing. But anyway,
yeah,
I mean, it's really good.
But basically, you're just walking them through.
I just showed them what it is and what you get. So again, that was an advanced concept. But the bottom line is, I had an audience who bought my stuff at that point. And then they're like, well, what else do you have? Well, at that point, it became easy to survey them. I'd send out a survey and say, what are your biggest challenges that you're having right now? And they said, well, once my video's made, I don't know what to do with it. And then they told me what their problems are. Right. So I'm going to show you how I gather data and how I develop my next products.
Perfect.
And I've never shown anyone this in depth before.
Oh,
so
wow.
I literally, I didn't even think about it until just now, but I think you'll love this. So I have a tool that I use all the time called SurveyMonkey. And I run SurveyMonkey surveys constantly. They're constantly running. It is my secret weapon. So what is SurveyMonkey? Well, if we zoom in, I'm going to show you one of my surveys. This is one called Help Me Name My New Instant Customer Book. Okay, here's another one called Help Me Name My New Publish and Profit Book. So what I do, and so I'm going to give you the most advanced psychology for marketing, and most people ignore this at their peril. But if you have, at this point, if I get 50 survey results, I know everything I need to know to make a product and sell it. And it's based on the questions that I'm going to share with you right now.
Okay.
All right?
Oh.
So you ready for some advanced
stuff?
stuff?
You are so lucky.
You are lucky. All right, so here's what it is. What I do first is I say, and again, this works for products, it works for books, but I use it for books because what I do is I say, take my survey and I'm going to give you my next book for free when you fill out the survey as soon as it's done. But really, I'm asking them questions about their business that they can tell me, so that, and I also ask them price questions, how much they're willing to pay to make the problem go away.
Perfect, so there's no surprises.
None, all right? So the first thing is, and I asked their opinion, okay? I asked for their help. So I said, first of all, which of these titles most appeals to you? It's multiple choice. So here I've got publish, promote, and okay, so 39% say this, and you can see it, okay? 30, and the truth is, it's useful, but I already know what the damn title's going to be, okay? I just want them to get involved. Right. And it is useful because sometimes I learn, but check this out. I get comments. So a whole bunch of people tell me other ideas. Sometimes they give me some great, like someone says, hey, this one's lame. Okay, this is great. Yeah, so that's super. But then
do you send this survey to your list?
I put it on my social media.
Oh.
That's so
wow.
I put it everywhere. If I have a little video, I put a link, and I'm just on Twitter. So if you don't have a list, this is how you build a buyer's list.
Yeah.
Because it's people who are interested in what you have.
Yeah.
And if they fill out a survey, they're not losers.
Yeah,
okay?
And
they took
they're
the time.
engaged in your process, and they're going to be excited when it comes out.
And you can look at this. When you see what I get enough data that I can just call up a couple people. I can close coaching and consulting deals for premium prices based on a couple little nuggets they get me here.
Wow.
All right. So this is how you screen and you filter.
Okay. SurveyMonkey.
So then I ask them some subtitle questions. Okay. And again, here we go. I got one of them is 16%. One of them is 15%. So one of them is share your knowledge, become an authority, and get wealthy with a purpose. I got 16%. Another one is how to be the authority, grow a loyal audience, and get wealthy with a purpose by writing and publishing a book. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. And again, lots of comments. Okay. Then I say, which of these bonuses appeals most to you?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
You're just really dialing it down.
Good. So I have big yes, how to package your business services and you in a book that make people want to buy. Okay, that one got 55%. Here's one, templates for selling and promoting books online, got 62%. Here's one that became 12 different ways to promote, market, and sell your book, 69% with a big yes, okay? So the net result is, I know what they really want. They want their templates. They want they want it in simple steps, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And again, lots of comments. Okay, now check this out. Based on the title and subtitle, how useful or interesting will this new book and the bonus be? You choose B for you. Okay, very useful to extremely useful. Great. But then, any other comments, questions, or suggestions for the book or bonuses? This is when they start telling me everything that's wrong with their life and their business. Okay. And then I say, if you'd like a free copy of the book when it's published, please enter your contact information and it'll be sent to you. They'll give me their addresses. Okay, and I say I'm sending you an electronic version, but I ask for their address anyway. You can see here, I get, it's about 97% of the time they're giving me their full address, and 83% of the time they're giving me their phone number. And I ask them for their mobile phone number, by the way.
Wow.
Okay, and then I say, which of the following best describes your business? So here we've got, number one, it's expert. They're an author, coach, consultant, or speaker, 45%. 25% are online businesses, okay, so I know that. And then what's your primary website address? They give me their website address. And then here's the kicker. How useful would a course that teaches you how to write and publish a book, become a top authority or go-to expert or celebrity in your topic or for your business be? Extremely useful, 40%, very useful, 38%, okay? I got a winner here, baby.
Yes, you do.
80% want it.
That's incredible.
Okay, and then here's the kicker that pushes it over the top every time. Just for fun, share something really cool, weird, or bizarre about you nobody knows about you that makes you super unique and interesting. Now, here's why I ask that. It's when people show me their freak, and I get to know them, and I've got something to talk to when I pick up the phone and talk to them, or I get the best ideas for my headlines and my emails from my customers, clients, and followers. And one of them one time said, I kissed Mark Hamill, the guy who is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so I used that as a headline in an outbound email. The subject line was making out with Luke Skywalker.
Oh my God, I bet.
And I
your
had the highest open rate
yeah,
out of
totally.
anything I ever did.
Oh my gosh.
So then all I do is I follow up and I send an invite to a webinar or webcast, and I say, I'm going to teach you, and I take the top 10 things people want to know or learn that I got from the survey,
Yeah.
and I say, here's all the stuff you're going to learn. I answer the question, and I make an offer for a product that hasn't even been made yet.
Wow.
Okay.
And so it's all pre-order kind of thing, and then wow.
Yeah. And then I can tell you how we
Yeah.
turn that into a
Did
product.
you
So I
hear
hope that was, yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic. So you can get the cash in and then start putting the product together quickly. Obviously, you got to move on it. But for those of you out there that feel like you have to do all this work and spend months pulling together a product before you sell, you can actually do it the other way around.
Right. So I'll give you two examples of how I use this to rapidly create products.
Okay.
I'll do one that came from a product that eventually became Make, Market, Launch It, which is how to make, market, and launch a product. Okay. And what it was is I stood on stage. So I did have people, I had an audience, but again, this will work with a teleseminar, webinar, or whatever. And I said, I'm going to teach you how to sell and how to close and convert an audience into buyers. And in fact, what I'm going to teach you is so good, some of you are going to run to the back of the room and you're going to buy what I have to share, even though I'm going to teach you exactly what I'm doing.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's some NLP going on.
It's some heavy duty stuff going on, right?
Okay.
But the bottom line is I said, I'm going to teach you how to make, market, and launch a product, and I'm going to show you right on stage, and I'm going to sell you a product I haven't even made yet.
So
Okay.
you were really straight with them.
Totally,
and
totally
Yeah,
upfront.
because they want to learn how to do it
They
too.
want to learn.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. So you got to realize that as an expert, most of your customers and your buyers, they want to know, they want to be you when they grow up. I would go out to say, in fact, I'll ask your audience right now, okay? So just say yes in chat right now if you would like Allison's magical special skills and talents yourself. You're part of the reason you're attracted to her and you're in her community is you want what she's got. You want her following, you'd like to have her magic, you want her stage charisma, her skills, and you want to know how she got there and how she managed to build a business, okay? So
And you want to be a klutz, just like me.
there you go.
Yeah,
Are you a klutz?
I'm a total klutz.
Even though
Even though I fly on the trapeze,
With the greatest of
yeah,
ease.
very graceful in the air.
Uh-huh.
I run in, knock over, fall everywhere.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, here's the bottom line. That's how I sold this product. Now, another recent one that we did, and this thing crushed it, okay? Because as you know, books are one of my passions. They have been for a while. It really, I started reading, even though I barely passed high school, I loved to read. One of the first projects I ever did when I was 6 years old is I read an entire set of children's encyclopedias, and then I migrated to the standard encyclopedias.
Britannica.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. The children's Britannica, and then we went up to the big one. Somehow my parents got sold.
Yes.
So that naughty man. So, and by the way, we got yeses from everyone. Yeah, and then Stephanie says, and her body. Bam. That's what I'm talking about. So, but exactly, yes, and her smile. Okay, duh. So we're getting lots of yeses. So, so that's what's important is people want you. So you have to realize that they're attracted to who you are and the lifestyle they believe you have, the freedom they believe you have. And notice I'm using the word freedom, okay? But in any business, people want that passion, that wisdom, that
Right.
what you're perceived to be, and that's how you attract, you know, an audience as well. And again, a brand works the same way. What people perceive the brand to be. Why is Nike? Why is Coca-Cola? You know, why is Apple what it is? Is because we aspire to have a piece of that.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you one of my best stories ever, and I think I'm going to frame it with showing the results first, because the secret to closing deals and getting people to buy from you is to show the results in advance, okay? And this is an advanced idea, but it's easy to understand, and I need to find the presentation. It'll just take me a
I'm
moment.
learning so
to
much
install.
here.
Okay.
I'm a student here. I love it.
You are great that way too. I really appreciate that about you. And as our mutual friend John Assaraf says, he says, my goal is to be the dumbest guy in the room.
Yep.
And that is a brilliant point of view, because staying curious, and that's what Larry King says. The reason why he is so successful is because of that. It's because he stays
Yeah, well,
curious.
I mean, you know, that's what it's all about. That's why you all are in Pinnacle. And gosh, if we weren't to continue to grow and expand our mind,
Yep.
I would be so bored.
True that. Okay, so I'm bringing up this deck, and I'm going to show you some pictures. But you know, I think the most important lesson that we all need to learn is you're selling results. Okay, so most of us don't want to do the process at all. I saw one of the comments that was up here earlier, and one of your followers was talking about how she's still struggling with the fact that she's got lead generation pages, but they're not going inside Infusionsoft. No one wants Infusionsoft. No one wants a frickin' autoresponder. No, they want the results. They want an audience that buys their stuff when you tell them to do it. Okay?
Right, right.
You know, it's like, do you want to, you don't want the work. It's like, sell me the hole, not the drill. I don't want to
Right.
buy the tools. I want the result, what I get.
Right.
So, like when you wrote a book, for example, why did you write a book? What was your outcome? What was your goal?
Well, interesting. I always wanted to write a book. So this was actually a true passion. I put my heart and soul
Yep.
into the book.
Yep.
But I also wanted to take my years of wisdom and really make an impact.
Yep. Right.
So,
Okay.
and I had no idea what was going to happen when that book came out. I was still somewhat naive about the whole thing, and man, did the floodgates open.
What happened when you wrote your book?
Oh,
Because this
God,
is
yeah.
why I'm asking the
Yeah,
question.
got
Number
on
one,
stages, got on
stages.
television.
Yep.
Started my Pinnacle program. That's why everybody's here with us today. And also just the letters that I've gotten over the years of how that book has changed people's
audience.
lives.
You built an
Yeah.
audience of loyal fans
Yes.
and followers, right? Okay. That's why we do it. That's why we're in it. Okay. So so let's start there. So what I have found after surveying a lot of people, and I asked, why do you write a book, or what happens when you write a book, okay, is First of all, I become a recognized, acknowledged expert and authority. No one's going to argue with the fact that I did it.
Right.
Okay. Next, when someone reads my book and then I meet with them, I don't have to prove myself any longer. They're ready to. They say, "How much do you charge, and when can we start?"
Right.
No sales process.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Next one
Because
is
the trust factor.
totally.
You really bypass that.
And
whole
they
piece.
know your story. They know your why.
Yeah.
They know your emotional hook in your why, and they'll say, you know what, in your book, you told me your, like one of my things that people come to me for, it turns out a lot of my following are cancer survivors or people who've got cancer survivors in their family because they read or they've heard my cancer story.
Right.
Surviving it, coming back, and reinventing myself. And I have a lot of reinventors.
Yes.
Okay? Because I've got reinvention stories. I've failed, I've fallen, I've come back, I've reinvented, completely changed direction multiple times. And they're like, that's me, right? They've got to have a "that's me, you're just like me" experience. And a book allows that to happen.
Right.
And I want what you got, right? Either I want to be you when I grow up, or I want your lifestyle, or I want your secret magical sauce. Your sauce.
And we learn through story.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
And so every one of you has a story.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm going to share how we developed a product and created a book that I've replicated, and how I sell it now.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm going to do this in reverse because I'm going to show you, give you the background. So when I created the first How to Write a Book, the backstory was I thought I was going to die. I was being treated for cancer. I was at Duke Medical Treatment Center, and I was going through chemotherapy and radiation simultaneously, so I had about an hour of strength per day.
Wow.
And at the time, I didn't know for sure if I'd live. The prognosis was good, but I spent the majority of my time on the toilet. That's the truth, okay? And so what I did is I decided I was going to write a book, and I was going to write a book about how to write a book because I had been around so many authors. I knew how to do it, I just hadn't done it.
Right.
So I used my phone and I spoke my book into my phone, and over a period of 30 days, I wrote it, I published it, I promoted it, it became a #1 bestseller, and then I used the book to generate interest in a course while I was being treated for cancer. Okay?
Unbelievable.
So it turned out it was a good hero story, a hero's journey.
Right.
And I exposed my process while I was going through it because people know I was going through, and I was, sharing pictures while I was on Facebook and all that. All right. So when it came to...
So let me just address that. So for those of you that feel that you don't have time, or it's not the right time, or you can't fit it in, I mean, this is a true example of, you just make it happen.
Okay. And this is a great question. Stephanie says, do we have to have the book before the product? The answer is no, but I'm gonna answer that question too. Okay, so here's what happened. And this is where I'm gonna show a couple pictures because we just recently did this. We've done it several times. But the most important thing is start with the end in mind first. And what I say by that is show all the holes, show the results of the action. So what I wanted to do is find a way to capture the experience of what it's like for authors who have books in advance. And so anytime I write a book, anytime I create a product, I think about how am I going to present this in a way that people have to have it.
Okay.
So
right. So you're thinking, I mean, most people are doing it the other way. Like
we
what am I
design
gonna
the order form first.
Okay.
And then the presentation. Okay.
Right.
What do people really want? And it's 5 steps. Okay. So in this particular case, I'll take you on a little journey, a visual journey, which will begin with a picture. Let's take a look at that. This is a photo of all the people who were in a room where they, after 52 hours, they were all best-selling authors. We had pictures of them with their books, okay? So that's pretty heavy,
That's
right?
incredible.
And then, so here are some of them. These are real life. So what we did in this is the program, okay? And so again, what we did is we created a program and a product while we did it, So it was like a consulting journey, 69 people in a room, and the first thing we did is we walked them in, they registered, and took a picture, so we had a headshot, okay? So let's go back to the slide. You can see this is Dr. Robin Benson. She wanted, so we took a picture, that's on the left, and within 2.5 hours, we helped her come up with a great book title for her book. Okay, here's another one, Peter Chrisman, he's 75 years old. Took a picture of him. We helped him come up with a title and a subtitle, and we had designers in the room making book covers for them. So we designed their book cover with the title and subtitle. They had it in 2 hours, and we printed them out. And by the end of on the second day, we took a picture, and that's the second picture you see where I'm standing there. So here's Cassie Bjork. She is a health coach. She actually reminds me of you, interestingly. Similar energy, I just realized.
Really?
She's super sweet. Anyway, her book title, Why Am I Still Fat? She's a dietitian, okay? So the hidden keys to unlocking your stubborn weight loss. But we took a picture with her. Here's Sherry Gingras. She's a breast cancer survivor. She's been coaching women who find out they have breast cancer, so her title was, I've got breast cancer, now what? She takes them on the journey. Her husband, who's a shrink, he does ADHD, did ADHD Tactical to Practical, the simple solution to raising an ADHD child. So again, took a picture, helped them with their title, subtitle, book cover. They had it, they held it, and then we helped them launch their book in a day, and in the room, everyone bought each other's books, so we were able to push everyone to a #1 bestseller. On the second day, everyone becomes a #1 bestseller, and here you can see, if you go back to the slide, #1 bestseller and Perry. Next one, #1 bestseller. This guy does integrative healing, okay? Here's chronic disease, a doctor. Okay, Freddie, Living Impossible Dreams, kind of a personal growth. You'll see they're all #1 bestsellers. Sonia Gomez, #1 bestseller.
I love
Everyone
the
walked out.
designs, too, for the covers. Those are nice, because sometimes you look at these book covers
We
and
got a
they're
whole
ugly.
thing on how to get attention. It's packaging, right?
Yeah.
It's branding. You've got an awesome brand.
Yeah.
So you walk out, and you've got, first of all, you're holding your book, and you have 90 days to finish writing it. That's the beauty of this thing. So you got a deadline.
Yeah,
And
man, that's what we need, entrepreneurs.
Right.
We need our back against the wall.
But you have the prize first. You're already #1 best-selling author in 3 days. So what we did is, the idea I had was, I'm going to walk out of there with proof of 100% success rate. So again, how do you make a great product? You have to think it with the end in mind. What's the hero's journey? What's the story you want to tell of what it's like to experience the outcome? Every single business has an outcome. Like if I ask you, in Allison Maslan's world, when people hire you to be their coach, what's your outcome? What's your big promise?
The outcome is that they're going to be spending all their time running a business that they absolutely love, that they're making an impact in the world and creating a nice life for their family and all the other people.
Great. And you have a congruent story,
Yes.
And you live that,
Yeah.
and that's part of the reason why. And when someone's at your event and they raise their hand and say, I'm in,
Right.
you created that experience.
Right.
In this, I wanted people to experience, because in the end, it's sort of like, how would you feel when you hold your book and you know you're a best-selling author, and someone introduces you the next time you walk into a meeting, or when you have a speaking gig, you're on stage, or if you're asked to be in a media interview, what's it going to feel like when someone says, and let me introduce you, my good friend, Allison Maslan, #1 best-selling author, right?
And
Bam.
that is so perfect that you said that, because what Mike just did by example is what you will do when you're selling your product. How would it feel to be blank, 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 blank?
You get down to the emotions. We buy for emotional reasons. We justify with reasons.
Yes.
But in the end, in general, in my experience, with no exceptions for implementers, when you are a best-selling author, you multiply your income. It makes it easier to sell your products and services. Now, in many cases, I've designed and produced the product, then I make the book. So I make the book about the successes that my customers have had. The book really is the sales message, the sales letter.
Right.
It's the feeling experience. It's what it's like.
Right.
Okay? But then I'm able to use the book as a giveaway to generate leads.
Right.
The fastest way to generate high-quality leads online is giving away a book. Not a PDF, not a report, not a special free report.
Right,
Who gives a crap about those? There's too many of them.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
A book
so
has
when
value.
when I wrote Blast Off, I wrote the book first, and then the program came later.
Yeah.
Now for the next book that I'm writing is more about everything I've been teaching all these years and encapsulating that into a book. So you can do either way.
Totally. And so there isn't it has to be one way or the other. We all have lives to live. We've got to prioritize, and we have to decide what's important and how to get there. But the net result is building a product, in my experience, is, first of all, determining what's the outcome that someone wants, what's the feeling they want, and you design the order form and the sales message, okay?
Right.
And then you allow them to experience what's it like. And again, we can't get into the whole how to create the perfect sales presentation, but that's another journey for another time. But then what I've been doing is, and I've done it with groups as small as 8 people and as large as 300, I pre-sell the product and I either teach it online using a webcast like we're doing now,
Right.
or I pre-record, or I do it live in a room with cameras, and you can get a camera crew, it doesn't cost that much money, and you perform your product. And these days, I perform the product and I put it in a membership site like Kajabi in real time.
Right.
Okay.
So
and
you
that's
mean the
effectively-
marketing of the product or the actual development of the
That's
product?
the development. So let's
Okay.
assume, again, I got people's interest,
Okay.
I sold the program,
Okay.
and then I performed the program, so it's already sold. I basically am getting paid and covering all my expenses. So I
Right.
try to do, I try to make a little bit of money the first time around, but where I got a little bit different now is I actually have another camera crew there, and I'm shooting a video of us doing the process. So we're creating like a mini documentary
Right.
while it's being done.
Right.
And that becomes my marketing video.
Right.
later
That
on, okay?
becomes the whole.
Yeah.
So
So
you've
that's
got
an
all 3
advanced
pieces.
topic, not for the faint at heart. I mean, this is
Right.
after doing it a few years. But my goal is to walk out with a product that's done, happy, successful customers who can say, this is awesome, and proof that it worked, and a documentary, so I can start marketing the day we walk out of there.
Right. That is so fantastic.
So again, that's more of an advanced
So,
strategy. But
all
I
right.
started with nothing. It's in the garage. It wasn't
Right.
that long ago.
Right. So you all can do this. So we've talked about a book, but this also can apply to if you're going to do a video series or an audio series.
Same process.
Something like that.
Yep, same exact process. In fact, without getting into too much detail, and we're going to make sure everyone gets a copy of the book for free too. That's one of our gifts.
Awesome.
Is
Thank
you got it.
That's awesome.
I'm producing a show now as marketing. And so everything that we talked about can work in any business, in any language, in any industry. If you want to gain access to more leads, you have to tell stories and share a message. It's as simple as that. And you've got to be seen as an authority and expert.
Right.
And you can borrow authority and expertise by interviewing people who have the status you already you want.
Right.
Or you can bring on people who support your storytelling or the experience, or in my case, I try to interview as many of my successful customers as I can and share their transformational stories and their journeys.
Right.
That's the best marketing you can ever do, is let me show you proof that our stuff works.
And so I love all of this. So just quickly, because we're pretty much at the top of the hour here, a couple quick things. So ways to deliver the products.
Yes.
So can you just touch on that?
So I used to do a combined digital and physical product. I do all digital now. We don't do physical any longer. What we found is that there's no difference in sales, no difference in refunds, no difference in implementation, and in fact, most people prefer digital, which is less expensive and less costly and less risky.
Okay.
So in general, we use a system called Kajabi for our product delivery. It's maybe it's around $1,000 a year or something like that to use it. You can create as many membership sites as you want. It can handle order processing, customer service, all that in one place.
Great.
There's
I
other
haven't used
tools,
it, but I've heard some great things about that platform.
I've used them all. Most of them stink, and something always breaks. These guys have been working hard long enough that I can actually endorse them, and I use it for my own business.
Okay. Great. Kajabi. So, and then we touched on this, but this really applies to every business. So, you know, we've got some completely diversified companies, which is what's so great about this program. But we've got people that create refrigeration for big warehouses. We've got Diana's on here, makes high-level kitchen products.
Right.
And so you still can, this helps to elevate you in your industry.
This is great. And I'm just looking through some of the chat here. So the answer is, I have never seen a business type this won't work for. And if you have a business you don't think it'll work for, at a minimum, you need to create training. You need to train people to use your products and use your services and consume more of them so they'll buy more of your stuff.
Right.
Why not teach your stuff once and then put it in a membership site so it's accessible to your employees and your customers forever? I hate repetition. So I'll tell you what I've done internally. I have a product that I call it the Perfect Assistant. And every single thing I teach or train here in the studio about my own internal marketing, how to manage my webcast, my podcast, all that, I teach it once, I make a video, I put it in the Perfect Assistant. So if someone says, how do I do that? I send them a link, boom. Every new assistant that comes in here, my producers, my assistants.
Great.
So my goal is to build a knowledge-based library.
Right.
And I've shared that story, and more people are like, I'm doing that, I'm starting today.
Well, that's all the systemizing. And
Totally.
we talk a lot about that in Pinnacle. How do we create
I hate
more
repeating myself.
Yes.
Don't
I get
we
it.
all, as entrepreneurs, we're creators. We want to make stuff.
Yes, exactly. So you can then launch the product on the webcast. You can launch it on a webinar. You can launch it on a teleseminar. You can launch it on a live event.
Yep.
All those things
It's all
work.
universal. Everything we talked about works in any
Okay.
industry, any business, anywhere, anytime.
So just not to do, like just some major failures that.
Yes. So don't
Well, any tips?
confuse your passion with a business, and don't confuse a charity with a business, okay? So as a business owner, what you want to do is create a product to an audience that has the most money, has the highest probability of buying, who you love to work with. And I have a definition of a perfect customer in the book, so we'll make sure everyone gets that. In fact, I'll just tell you what it is right now. Head on over to, it's mrbz.com/AMPP, that's Allison Maslan, Publish and Profit Book. So it's mrbz.com/AMPP book. And let's keep that lower third up so that way you can get it.
Perfect. Thank
so you'll
you.
learn
What a
more.
great gift.
But here's what's important is do not, like I've got people say, hey, I want to make a product for helping people about, and I'm like, that's your charity. That's what you give money away to. Charity with a business, you're going to hate your charity, your business is going to die, you're going to be broke, and you're going to despise the people you're trying to help, and you're not going to like your customers either, and you won't like you. So make products that make money and give away money.
Right.
That's my biggest advice. The other one is, I don't believe in making it first and then selling it later. Instead, what you want to do is start with the order form. Okay? You start with the order form, and then you help visualize what's the result that someone wants to experience. We talked about that.
Right.
And communicate that story as your sales presentation.
Right.
And then sell it, and then make the product. Okay? So I've met lots and lots of people, yeah, I've been working on a book for 3 years, and I go, no, how about you can perform your book and have it done in 4 days, okay?
Right, and then
With
that's
an
going to
audience in
light
mind.
a fire under your butt to get it done.
Deadline.
That's what I say, go
Yeah.
out and book your talks before you write your speech.
Hell yeah, exactly,
Definitely.
nothing better. So the net result is sell it, then make it. That way you know that there's money there and there's an audience. But I don't have, that's called hustle. So you gotta build an audience
Right.
first, or you go out to the customers you have had, or you've said no to, and offer to sell them the product you're gonna make. And if there's a bunch of no's, either your offer's crappy, you haven't visualized the end result, or there isn't a market there.
Right.
But it's not that complicated. Again, we could go into all the minutiae here,
Right.
but
That's okay.
yeah.
We still have another training
do
that
another
we're going
session.
to do in April, but wow, we covered so much here.
Heavy duty stuff, more than I expected.
I know, I love it. I think you need to turn this into a product.
Thank you. Well, I have a product on how to make products. You know,
Well,
it's like,
I
yeah,
know.
they got it all. Yeah,
I
so-
know, but this was
but-
so good. I loved
Thank
it
you.
all. I loved the Survey Monkey thing. I think, I hope my team took notes because we're going to apply this stuff too.
Great. Well, it's the good
So-
news is the secret sauce is build an audience, engage them, and ask them lots of questions.
Right.
And I don't do anything without a lot of surveys. And you saw when I brought that up, I mean, I've got some surveys that have had 4,000 results. That's because I've got surveys out there that I started 4 and 5 years ago that still get people adding to them. And I still give away the books
Right.
because they become customers later on. Because it's like just because they said no today doesn't mean it's going to be no in a week or a month or a year.
No.
And this is, you're building annuities, you're building equity. Every piece of content you create should be building an audience.
Right, and very different than pre-internet where it was out there and gone. Now there's something that's going to live there for years and years.
For better or for worse.
Well, thank you.
Just like a marriage.
Yeah. Yes, this is true. So, but that's a good thing,
It's
right?
a good thing.
That's a good thing.
It's something to work on, baby.
Yes. So, oh my God, that's another show altogether. So, thank you for letting me come over and take over your studio today.
It's my
This has
pleasure.
been a blast.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, and thank you for being here with us. It's great. I want to just do a good shout out. Fiora, Paradigm Shift. I forgot your name. I know you said it earlier. Diane, Robert was here, and Danielle, Catherine, Marianne, Finny, Talena. Gosh, we had Giles, Stephanie.
She's one of our coaches.
Fantastic, Fiora, Lisa, so many, Cindy. Thank you. This is what this is about. And again, I hope you're visualizing, imagining yourself doing something like this because it snowballs. It's about discipline. It really is.
Yes.
It's just getting out there and doing it in deadlines. So
Absolutely. Make the decision and get it done. And wow, you've got so many tools and ahas here today. So thanks, everyone. Go on, enjoy the rest of your day.
thanks for
Bye.
watching. Bye-bye.